Hey folks, welcome to Before the Sim, SHL Tonight. We have tonight's Simmer with us, we have last night's Simmer with us, and we have Hiff with us. How are you guys
10
doing?
seasons ago, Simmer, yes.
Yeah, let's just a quick round the robin before we get into the details of what we want to talk about tonight. How is everybody? Patrick, you feeling better?
Feeling better. I'm not on my deathbed anymore, so that's always a positive. I missed last week's sim because of it, and so I'm excited to be back into it. But with my job, you miss 1 week, you're battling for like 3 weeks to get caught back up. So this week has just been, what can I do to get somewhat caught back up? And so that's why I still haven't got back to my activity level that I'm usually at.
Well, we're glad you're feeling better. The rest will come. Well, we're glad you're sort of feeling better, I guess. Not 100%.
I don't have to worry about him like not responding to me because of certain things happening.
Debbie,
Yeah.
availability is the best ability. Is that what they say?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, Evil, your turn. How are you? What's going on?
Plead the fifth.
All right, and we got Hiff to turn his lights on, but apparently I'm paying his electric bill for the month. Hiff, we can see you. It's good to see you.
Yeah, I'm excited to lie about how much my electricity bill is and make you pay it.
Nice.
That's going to be a good time.
All right, well.
I mean, if it's under 1,000, I don't think you're lying about it at that point.
Under 1,000?
$9.99, baby.
I don't know. So, is there a public utility regionally in Canada, or is the whole, how does that work?
I don't know. I rent my place and I pay the landlord my rent and he pays the electricity bill.
You've never had your own electricity bill, though?
One time I did. It's government-owned Ontario. No, sorry,
Okay.
I sold it and then it was a whole thing. I forget what happened in the end, but there was a lot of scandals around our energy here.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's the same thing. I feel like it's the same thing everywhere. So, anyways, that's not necessarily the topic to cover for tonight, but wanted to give everybody. It could be scandals, yeah, electricity scandals. We could talk about that, but since we have a pretty good crew of simmers, former simmers, sim knowers, and we have definitely had some conversation around the league over the course of the last week and a half about the state of the sim, the product that we're putting out there, and everybody on this panel today has been involved in broadcasting in some way. And so I think that the intersection of the sim team and the broadcast team and how we do all of those things together. So we wanted to take the next hour or so before the playoff run for the evening, games 5, 6, and 7, brought to you by Patrick for the SHL playoffs. Before we did that, we wanted to talk a little bit about the state of the sim, what folks like about the current state of the sim, what folks maybe don't like, some feedback from the folks, maybe a peek behind the curtain of what it actually takes to sim, how our live sims differ from, regular quick sims, all those other things. So anyways, this is not meant to be a conversation that is negative in any way, shape, or form, but I think feedback from folks in the league is helpful to the way that we put out product. And so just wanted to take an opportunity to say, this conversation is intentional because I think we would love feedback for the sim team, the broadcast team, and HO is definitely interested in hearing what the community wants overall. So I will pause there and let the sim folks or folks who have a different opinion maybe outline some of the things that you guys are seeing, conversations you guys are having.
Can we just take a moment to shout out Fanto? He's setting the tone really good. I think here.
Well, I want to add to Nike before we get too far into it, because I think the important thing, there's two things that we need to say. Yes, it's weird that we're doing it on a Wednesday, but that's when we're all available to do it. I think all of our weekends are pretty much booked up this weekend. So, and it was planned out a couple days in advance. It wasn't something that just, hey, let's get on tonight and do it. It's been something that we've talked about. So it's not just an impromptu show. It's actually something that we had planned since probably Monday, Sunday.
You guys said that.
I mean, we kind of were talking about this last
immediately
week,
wanted to have a podcast. That's what you said, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
we wanted to do this last week, and then we changed it right now. Go Go ahead, Patrick. Sorry.
But yeah.
Anyways, I think that's Fanto makes a great point, and maybe we could start there. Like the speed of Sims, I think that there are probably some differing opinions, and I'll be the first one to say, right, that during the regular season, I like quick Sims, right? I just generally enjoy the ability to get the result and get out and get on with my day during the weeks where I'm sitting at a desk at work. And just the games are less impactful. However, I recognize the opposite opinion of like, for a person like me who appreciates just the box score more than anything, like it's available on the index 20, 25 minutes after the sim starts if we don't do live sims. So I'll just start there, but like I would appreciate from you guys point of views because I know that this team definitely has been experiencing the variation in sim length times that we definitely have seen gone to probably more extremes the last couple seasons.
Well, I'll just lead off by saying that the simmers that we have lately are incredibly consistent. It's been a marked improvement from what we've had in recent years. We have a lot more people who actually do the simming. They're a lot more on time. They're on the ball. They're doing a great job at getting the results out. It's just kind of perhaps a difference of how fast is too fast. And I think that there is a standard, but it might not have been posted anywhere, is my understanding. But it was supposed to be like 5 seconds per, and then perhaps some people are counting seconds faster than I am. But it seems to go like really fast, where like you can't. Well, maybe you can. I can't process all the information that quickly, and I just like to have like another, a second or two to be able to be like, oh look, the player who was going for their goal record, they scored today, so we can celebrate that goal record. Or they got 8 shot blocks. That's pretty neat. We could note that on the team and shout out a player who, you might not get to talk about as much because they're not on the score sheet as much, but they did something interesting, and you get to involve them and let them know about their player and their involvement in the team's efforts.
And I agree. I think saying it over and over again, the sim team we have is a great team. Last week when I was sick, Evil jumped in to cover me, and then I still couldn't fill his spot, so somebody else, I think it was Raph, jumped in to cover that one, if I'm not mistaken. And we get it. The coverages are really taken care of. We all have lives, and anytime you sit down to sim, you're looking at probably about an hour's worth of work, even if you go really fast, because there's a lot of front end checks that you're doing. There's a lot of back end checks that you have to do after the sim. By the time you get done, wrapped up, even if it was only like a 15-minute sim, there's still work to be done. And that's not even counting the J side, where there's new players every single day, usually, that get added to teams that have to be created, have to be added. Lines have to be adjusted. And then trade deadline comes around. You have those trades on the J, and then you have DFAs. And you kind of just add a lot that anytime, I think when I first came into the sim, into the SHL, I was really aggravated anytime a J sim was delayed, because I was in the J, I was excited for it, I wanted to see it, and I didn't understand why that sim was delayed consistently. I get it. There's a lot behind the scenes that sometimes, even if you hop on a half an hour before your sim as a J simmer, you're looking at an hour's worth of work to get that sim loaded up, especially with some of the file problems that's been happening on the J side. My heart goes out to the J simmers. It really does. It takes a special character to sim the J and the patience they have and everything else.
One of my big issues, like when I was making players as a J simmer, was I'd have to like convert the height to like inches, and I don't know. Like I know it's 12, but I don't know in the top of my head. So I'm like, what is 5'10" in flat inches? And it's like, oh well, I don't fucking know. I got to go Google every player I'm making.
Yeah, I'd always have the calculator out, like doing a quick. What's 6 times 12? Okay, this is where I'm starting at. Plus this many.
You guys gotta get the shortcut. 60 inches is
5 feet.
5 feet. Then just add in
I'm not-
increments from
look,
there, 12, 14, whatever.
I have 10 fingers and 10 toes.
I mean,
I
we
can
could
get
also
up to
switch to
20.
centimeters.
After that,
I think centimeters might be worse, but
I think we want to be really precise. It should be millimeters, and then we can just really get the variance down.
But Patrick, I think you make a great point, right? Like the appreciation for the exercise of doing a sim being longer than the actual sim itself is something that I've been in the league a long time. I've been in the league since FHM existed. Never been a simmer. Don't have an appreciation of it if it takes you 5 minutes to load the exports and manually making any updates for trades, or is it 20 minutes, a half an hour? So I think you get bringing that context of like there's pre-work and post-work associated with what happens. That take out OBS, take out everything that happens that you could see live on YouTube or Twitch. Like if you just take the product of everything that you do in FHM, it could be upwards of an hour of work for a basic sim.
That's general. It's more so for the J, is what he's saying. There's a lot more stuff that goes into J simming. Like you don't generally have to make a player in the SHL unless like some free agent from the J who was unsigned and then signed mid-season or something crazy happened, and it wasn't during a weekend. Like it'd be a whole like clusterfuck of things to happen to get to that point. But like for the SHL, it's not as much time comparatively, but there's still you have to make sure the file uploads correct and your game doesn't bug out, which that's a 50-50 chance in itself because FHM is a fickle beast for sure, and we've added so much content to it that it has to load a bunch, and it's like, nah, fuck you, reload your game, try again.
Well, and there's SHL GMs that get mad at the simmers when we kind of like snap on like those fake reactions. Like sometimes people will put fake reactions on the file lines.
Yeah, here's a peanut.
Yeah, like they don't understand why we're getting upset, and it's because like when we're importing the file, that's 99% of the time when it's going to crash. And you're sitting there hoping it doesn't crash. You're waiting for it to load. Usually mine times out and asks me if I want to refresh like in the task. And I'm like, no, just battle through it. And it usually does. And then we're going through checking the teams, and then we're seeing this react, and we're so hyper focused on the teams over here that we're like, what the hell is this react? And it's like, oh, love BV to death. Oh, it's just BV trying to be funny. What the hell, BV? Like, and it's like that split second of you're like, don't do that.
I think it's Madison's. Took me forever to realize what like the reaction they use. I was like, what the hell reaction is it? What team is this? And I'm looking through the list and like that icon don't exist. I'm just like, all right. So
which one was that?
Manhattan has the little guy with the shiv.
Maybe that's what. Maybe it was Manhattan, not Madison. Yeah. Manhattan, yeah.
I think Luke has like
usually by the time we typed out the message to you as a GM that says, "Hey, let's not do this," or "Hey, where's your reaction?" We're not mad. We're just double checking our end, and it's like, okay, we're just gonna move on. But
well, the other thing I wanted to just bring up because he was talking about how long it takes to do those imports. There's now the issue of it'll say there's an what was it? You'll do the import, they have a reaction, and they never did an import. So then they have to do it again. It says that it imported, or it says it didn't import again. It happened with me.
It happened last night. Evil, I was going to say, like, that's the first time I had ever seen the simmer view of an import that you had the screenshot that said whichever team it was, I can't recall, but like this team had imported and they had an export, but nothing loaded in. And you were like, I see that it loaded.
Export did not make it somehow.
Right.
And the same thing happened to me day one of the J playoffs this season. I had to manually send Knox my updates because we tried it twice. And with the J file taking 6 to 7 minutes to import now, there was no way we were going to, wait 20 minutes to try it a third time. So, I mean, luckily on the third time, I think it was Edmonton's update went through.
Yeah.
And I'm like, cool. And now if that keeps happening in the J, which I don't know if it's a file thing or a server thing, but like now you're adding with the current file 25, 30 minutes to the pre-work every sim. If it happens next season, I mean, the J sim, like the stream is only in the ideal world 30, 35 minutes. The pre-work is pushing an hour in the J. In the SHL, I was ready in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, I mean the SHL it takes at most 15 minutes for me, and I'm usually sitting there for 5 minutes waiting just to sim.
I keep asking, can I start the stream earlier because I want to go to sleep? And knowing I have a 2-hour stream in the playoffs, yeah. And yesterday was, I think I got it just under 2 hours to do one sim.
And that's a whole different, right? Like we could talk about playoff sims because Evil, I think by the book, right? If we were to say by the book, you technically don't need to sim game fours live, all game 4 eliminations live sim, but like you understand the benefits.
They are required. That is the requirement.
Okay, so like
depending on who you ask, it is and it isn't.
That's okay.
It is the standard
exactly
that's been set
right?
for many seasons. Yes.
Right. So, but maybe that's like part of the. And I know that we talked about this a little bit, you guys. Like there are some standards associated with the sim that the sim team adheres to, but I think generally, right, the population of folks within the league who have not been involved in that also don't really understand and know, and so like it creates this weird dichotomy of like the simmer is saying I do or I don't have to do that thing, and the general league is like, cool, don't care, do the thing that I want.
No, so what's funny is sometimes the general league will pretend they know and give you the wrong answer, and you'll just go with it because you don't know any better. Yeah. And then like you'll come back and they'll be like, "Why'd you do this?" It's like, well, 8 people told me this is what I was supposed to do.
But I do think that like some standardization and like having that more broadly would probably be helpful.
Yeah, I think that would go a long way because I think, you know, what I always say is you go. I mean, we sim regular season for a month, so we're doing our sim the same way for a month, and then we change over how we sim for the postseason, and then that change happens, and we do that for 2 weeks, and then we have about a 2 to 3 week break depending on where we're at in the season, and then we're back in the regular season. So it's now been over a month and a half since you've last simmed a regular season game. You're jumping back into it. So just having that ability of, you know, hey, this is the expectation, this is how it's supposed to go, would help all simmers to really be able to kind of have a little bit more, I guess, confidence in what they're doing when they make that change and everything else.
I remember we had a checklist, but it was very, like, it was a lot. There was a lot of words. It was a lot of information. And like, it was like 8 pages. Like, I'm not going to read 8 pages before I sim every time.
Oh, you mean from when it was FHM 10 or 8?
It was, yeah, it's been 8. But like,
yeah, it was 8 pages.
It was lengthy. It was very lengthy. And like, I was going to pray to God that I wasn't going to make a huge error and not read the whole damn thing. That's what I was going to do. And then I made some errors, but it's fine.
I remember getting that after we switched to 10. I was given that to try to follow for my first stream, and I was like, none of these pictures, none of these button presses match 10 anymore. So in 8, it was a bit like convoluted for the directions. Like they couldn't follow the exact directions even in the one it was for. But that's just because like FHM is fucking weird. So
do they push updates? They don't push updates that would materially change the mechanics of the game, right?
I don't know.
No, I don't believe there's ever really updates going into it, especially by the time we start using it. I mean,
right.
I think when we made the switch over to FHM 10,
12 was already out.
12 was out. So
I don't 2 years back because like if it's live, they can update the rosters, and that screws everything up apparently. So
for example, FHM 10 their last update was almost 2 years ago.
Yeah,
it's literally 22 months ago.
And I will say for the audience, you know, nobody feels worse when a mistake happens than a simmer does. I think I could have a perfect sim, and if I just make a slight mistake,
miss a goalie swap, it's done.
I'm
night ruined.
I'm so aggravated at myself, and I let it eat me alive through the sim. Like I think it was last season. I simmed like a week worth of games, quick sim, because FHM just decided it was going to do it. and the rest of the sim. It was just, I was like, oh God, I really screwed this up. And so it feels bad. But I never feel bad about pizza parties.
No. But it is like, it's probably worth noting, right? That is a reality of a human-run system. No, everybody is a volunteer, right? Like,
Yep.
this is not a professional gig for anybody. And so when you start to, and it has only gotten better, right? We have.
So I do just want to say to that point, people are like, well, simmers are paid so much money, but like 9 out of 10.
I want to come back to the pay because I do think that we
Okay,
should
but
have
my
a
point
whole
is
conversation just for that.
they've simmed so long, most of the people who are constantly simming don't need the money. They're doing it because they care about the league.
Right.
Yes.
It just gives me the ability to give away more money. I give away money left and right just because I have it in my account to give away.
But except that one, Jay, where I gave away the money.
Well, yeah, because you have just as much money as I
Yeah.
do. You can afford a little bit of a pittance.
You guys both make a great point. Like, it's not about the money, right? It's about servicing the league. And Patrick, your comment exactly about feeling guilty is like, you made a mistake. It's not like simming a week's worth of games stinks, but also not really that big of a deal in the grand scheme of things. And the guilt, like you feeling bad, is because you care more about the community and everybody enjoying the product than you do about, oh, I screwed up my job and now I'm going to get dinged or I'm not going to get paid as much. It's not about that. It's about serving everybody that engages with our
community.
content. Yeah. So
remember, what was it last season, Patrick, where I had to do the resim, and that was 3.5 hours of work to do a resim because of a mistake that happened. I had to resim, what was it, 8 days worth of games, like 40 games, and it was 2 seasons ago. There was an upset in one of the games that went to a shootout, and it took, I don't know.
Did you have to get the same result?
I had to get a shootout shootout win for the upset, and I just wanted to die.
Save, load, click.
That's all you do.
I learned how to do it so fast that I could get it done in like 12 seconds per attempt. And
how many attempts did it take to get that one game the right result?
An hour and 40 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I had a resim once, and it was like the worst team in the league had upset like the third best team, and I had to resim for results, and it was also an overtime win. It's like 15, 20 tries. Like,
yeah.
I screwed up on IHF one time by not switching my goalie swap screen. So I had games off sim, and I had to go back before simming those games and resim all the other games that I had simmed up until that point.
Yeah.
And I think it was Ireland had upset somebody in a shootout just like Evils, and it took me 55 resims to finally get the shootout win for Ireland. And literally it was just Control V for the password, scroll down, sim, start screen, Control V, and just the whole time. And then I finally got that. I was like, all right, that's gonna be the hardest one I'd ever have. And then the next one was Canada beating somebody. I'm like, all right, this is easy. 25 sims later, finally got the Canada result that I needed. And I was like, oh, this will be a long night.
So the incentive is naturally built in not to screw it up.
It is, when you're doing a resim, it is probably one of the worst things. And I felt so bad. Noxu had to tell me that I had to do the resim, and he was like, I don't want to tell you this, but you're gonna have to resim everything.
All right, so that's probably a good segue into like the length of the sim, a consumable amount. I'd love each of your perspective, because Patrick, you talked a bit about you get in that rhythm of 5 weeks of regular season sims. I know, Patrick, you've got some ideas about doing more to build the product of the regular season for engagement. I think that's a way that we think that we can get more folks into the league, which is awesome. your Friday Patrick picks. If we could overlay some of that with the actual sim product, that's probably a great way, like once a week, to do some of that stuff. But I'd love to get each of you guys' perspective on the difference between a regular season sim, a playoff sim. How, just like we've all seen, I think, product, right? When you click the button to just do a quick sim, the page shows up with the box score. You scroll through, it's 10 or 15 seconds a game, roughly. We could talk about the standard of 5 seconds per or whatever, but and then when you get to a live sim that's a 10 or 11 or 12 goal game, those take 20 minutes, and that's a big difference. So what is it like to be a simmer during the regular season? How does that differ when you get to the playoffs? And maybe Evil, you could talk about it because it's so fresh for you. Like last night you had a marathon sim. Like how different was that been?
I mean, for mine, it was just like, what did I have? I had four live sims for game 3 because we have to do one of the conferences.
You had 6 for
and then 6 for game 4. So I had 10 live sims. None of them were low scoring, including the ones that I had, the 3-0s that I had to sim that were like 14 to 15 goal games each. I mean, I got to hear Madison's goal horn. It made me happy. But like, it's just so long, and it like I said, I kept it. It hit 2 hours by the time I hit I turned off my OBS, and take away the 25 minutes of giving the GMs their needed time to make strategy changes. That's still 90 minutes. That's a 90-minute sim for today. It would have been probably about an 80-minute sim if it was games 1 and 2, or should be around that if I was doing it. And tomorrow or tonight's sim, it's a question mark because it's
I don't know
5, 6, 7.
Yeah,
and I mean, for your sake, I hope it's a nice quick one. We don't have too many game 7s, but I'm pretty sure there's a
5,
series
6,
of
7 and onwards after round 1 is generally quicker because you have eliminated
fewer
teams.
games.
What, 3 eliminated teams already? Then the less teams there are, the quicker it is. But it's the round 1 and the 1 and 2 and the 3 to 4 especially because of the elimination games that can take a very long time.
Well, what if we just went to game 4s are all live simmed? Because that eliminates you potentially have to do game 3 and game 4 of a single season.
That's
series.
been one of my suggestions in it, is when you get to that second day of round 1, you have teams that are up 2 games to 0 usually going into that game 3. So that there's a really good chance that some of them are going to sweep. So why not take any of the games that are like 1-1 and just live sim those for the first half? So games 3 only live sim the ones that are not going to be an elimination game on game 4. And then all the other ones that would be an elimination game on game 4 just have a heavy load of live sims on the second half of that sim, because there's going to be more elimination games that you're going to have to live sim. So it kind of cuts it down that you can control not having as many sims, and you could actually probably control it to be just 8 live sims.
Yeah, but if you just do game 4s, like you're set.
It's the same thing. Yeah, it's the same thing with less work. Right?
Less thinking. You don't have
to think.
That's true. I like more thinking.
Yeah.
Well, Nike, remember, what was it, last season when I was actually doing commentary, and how long those sims were that I needed the commentary sim for, or money for? Like, there was a 3-hour sim in there.
Yeah.
And it was a 5, 6, 7 where we had to go to 7. So that's 50 minutes roughly. Technically it's supposed to be 40, but most of us do 25 minutes per. So that's 50 minutes of
dead time
trying to find entertainment for people without, making them leave. Because to me, the sim is a spectacle. It should be watched, should be interacted with. And I was doing commentary. So like even the sims were going 30 minutes a piece. I think Patrick, we had one, I think it was the SHL finals, that I think it was just one game, because I think that it was a 4-1 series. It was a 55-minute stream for one game, because we're going into the stories and stuff like that. And this season this season we didn't have that because we had one live sim. We didn't really have much of a story. Like, I didn't even know that the rookie points record was even being challenged, because there was nobody keeping track of that or looking at it. Okay, HIF was, but like how close the playoff chases were for positions in both conferences. I knew about it. I talked about it with
Boom does a
Mike.
good job of like keeping track of
Yeah.
like end of season,
Really good.
like important games.
Oh, I had them all. I had everything written down, like how important the last day of the sim was between me or Minnesota, Seattle, and Denver, because we all played each other at least once.
Yep.
And I'm like, that would have been a great series. Hey, the result of this game has eliminated Denver from getting the 2 seed, something like that. But it was just a quick sim.
Well, and to go back to Nike's question about regular season versus playoffs, I think that there is a really happy medium on regular season sims. I don't mind fast sims. I really don't. I think sometimes they are needed. I wouldn't want it to be long sims every day of the week. But I also kind of like to look at the stats as they go by. And if it's hard to read, it's hard to read. That's why when I do my sims, even though I'm not really commentating, I'm still commentating on the box scores
Mm-hmm.
to give people that chance to see as they go. And my sims usually last, I want to say they go about 30 to 40 minutes once everything's said and done, which I feel like is a good timeline. Now, when I add in, I've kind of cut back on adding in live sims, but I also kind of made the comment in my locker room that prime times used to be live sims. Every Friday, the primetime games used to be live simmed, and I don't think I've seen a primetime game live sim this season.
We had the one game from Lime. That's it. A single game because somebody in chat asked.
And I think the interesting thing, right, Patrick, you just made, there's 2 great points in there. The first is like a balance is important, right? Yeah. So we have had the conversation. It is very clear there are folks on both sides of the fence here. So like having some days where there's 45-minute streams, some days where there's 25-minute streams is a good balance, yes. Right? And Patrick, even when you do a quicker stream, right? Like you said, you may not be commentating, but you commentate with the cursor of your
yes,
mouse,
he does.
Right?
Yeah.
Like you'll circle that stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like as someone who enjoys the faster sim, I also enjoy like you scroll through and you're like, holy shit, look at this thing. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's interesting, right? Even if the game doesn't matter to me. So like there's something to be, but to the same degree, it like sims and the output, it also has to be equitable. And so the challenge with, I'm just going to take Fridays, for example, like if Raf sims every Friday, which I think she has for the season,
yes.
Asking Raf to do the live sims associated with the prime times when the person who sims on Tuesday doesn't have that ask, is it becomes inequitable for the folks on the sim team. And like, no bad dogs, it's nobody's fault. But it creates that feel bad moment. And so we have to find a balance between those two things. And I don't know if you guys have an answer for that or if you're talking about that, but from an outsider's perspective, that's the friction I'm feeling, certainly.
No, and I completely agree. I don't think it should fall on one simmer to do all the prime times. I know that we've had prime times kind of moved around because of delays or scheduling issues that popped up through the season. I think one time we had a prime time for a Monday just because there was a delay in a switch. I don't think prime times always have to be on Friday. If we can get the PT out a week ahead of time, then we could have a prime time on a Wednesday. We could have a prime time on a Tuesday, and that would kind of spread it out to other simmers to be able to do these live sims, and those still get live sim because we talked about it in the chat that our goal on the broadcast side is to try to bring people in by the YouTube, by Twitch and stuff like that, by doing these shorts. And I let it slip last week just because I was on my deathbed and I didn't feel like looking at a single short that was out there. But if in my head, if somebody sees one of these shorts and then they click on our page and they go to the games in the live section and they just see the speed run without them having the knowledge of that we have a portal that you're able to, or index that you're able to look at stats on, or any of that, they'd be like, well, how do I see what my player did? Like there's no way I could check that out. So that's what I'm like. I think we need to have a way that it becomes more
personal,
and also, what's the word I'm looking for?
I mean, it's engagement, right? Like we really want an engaging product. And Patrick, something just like light bulb for me. We really should have our YouTube page is just kind of a collection of everything that we've ever done, right? Like when you go to the SHL YouTube page, the top panel should be a collected, curated selection of videos that showcases the best in what we do in broadcast.
Absolutely.
It should be the draft. It should be a short snapshot of the award show. It should be the finals live stream with you guys commentating, right? Like that should be the first thing that somebody's like, oh, that's interesting. Let me go and see what they're doing.
Yeah.
It should collect that. It should not just be a Wednesday night sim. I hear what you're saying to the same degree. Like just it flipping through the box score is not great either. But like we also we can balance those two things by selectively curating the content that shows up first to people who don't understand what they're walking into.
Yeah, but if they see live, they're going to click the live thing, right?
Yes.
That's just going to happen.
Well, and that's the issue with YouTube is that anytime you go to if you go to the simulation page on YouTube, not many videos pop up at first because you have to then go to the live section of our page to see any of those videos, because like this video, it's it's going to be a live video, so it's not going to show up on the front page of the YouTube page. Like when I click on it right now and open it up, we're there now because we're live, and then the videos are only the re-recorded videos that are listed, not the live videos. So YouTube has its kind of own funny way of doing it.
Oh yeah, the videos thing where the most recent one is the season 81 SMJHL awards.
Yes, because those were rebroadcasted.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Patrick is the first one.
My primetime pick that couldn't be made into a short is the first one. Yes.
Yeah. Then it's 9 months ago, and
freaking 2 seconds over the short limit.
Yeah, but Patrick, like if you look at that list, it literally goes season 81, then season 62.
Yep. Yeah.
That's all that's available for people to see.
Yeah.
And
I mean, that's definitely something we could, look at getting done. I don't know if anyone's been talking about it, but it's something that could be looked into for sure. I know another.
Patrick and I can definitely take that. Like that's something we probably should be working on.
Yeah.
I know another complaint people have is that FHM itself is not very interesting. We do have the limitation of we're stuck in FHM and it's squares and blocks and sometimes
it's not
players.
Interesting if you make it not interesting. All right, because when you have
they do tell a story, right?
Goalie face into a goal, that's interesting to me. Like that guy humped the goalie until he got a goal, and I don't know how you don't enjoy that goal anymore.
Yeah, we had the no goal, I think, with QCC where one of the players was just dancing in front of an open net, never shot, never got a goal. Yep. And Patrick went on. That was funny because it was like 30 seconds of Patrick just, what the heck was that guy doing? And I mean, luckily it didn't matter, but I mean, it's just making we have to curate what the better or the better picture of what's happening. Like, I mean, you watch a sim and it's 10 people or 10 things that are just sticking around, and or see like you can occasionally see the puck. On some rinks you can't see it at all, but like there needs to be a story. Like we do. The thing that FHM doesn't do, which actually annoys me, is on the standings, or not the standings, the schedule doesn't put their seeds in the playoffs. So you don't actually know, like if you're just jumping in, you don't know which team is the favorite or which, or the underdog. You just see 2 team names, and if you know, you can go to the index and see what the standings were to get that shown.
I feel like if you just write the favorites, then people will just pick the favorites. So like it's
Oh no, I'm
it's an
not, I'm
extra
not
step,
saying
but
I'm not saying that. I'm just like to know what to expect so that when there's that upset, you can build on that story. I mean,
I feel like most of the people who are watching the sim are generally tied in enough to the standings to know if there's a big upset. I don't think that's
Sure.
I haven't noticed anyone who's been like, yeah, man, I didn't know that.
no, I'm talking like a new person. I'm not talking about the like. I just kind of was going on with like Patrick and us using it as a method of recruitment. Having stuff like that would be cool to see a new person come in and be like, oh, what's this about? And they can catch a live sim and just to have that little bit more information, especially during playoffs.
Yeah,
I mean, if you started with this piece of the conversation about like just the product, right? The visual product.
yeah.
Is there an alternative?
I still enjoy it. I still enjoy seeing the visual product, even though it's clunky, because you can it still tells a story. You can look at the events occurring and tell your own story and see. I also believe this is slightly unrelated, but I believe they're two different engines and they play differently as well. But that's a whole different segue. But yeah, I don't know. I know that it's objectively bad, but it's objectively bad in a way that you can make fun if you try, I think.
Yeah. And I will say, FHM makes play-by-play extremely difficult.
Horrible.
Yeah.
Extremely difficult.
What do you mean?
Sometimes I don't even try. I just go, okay, it's FHM time.
When I was doing the play-by-play, like you say the same thing 8 times.
Yep.
My
You mean
favorite thing you'll
the
hear
5-on-2?
me say is, it's a penalty because there's somebody in the penalty box, or the penalty will be listed. I'll be like, "There's no penalty," even though FHM wants you to believe that there's a penalty.
Or the fortune-telling goals, where the goal goes up, but no one's scored yet.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But I think that points to, right, like the investment, and this is something I have struggled with, right, is the investment in time to, like, a couple seasons ago, we actually paired simmers with broadcasters to try and get more broadcasting, right? And that's a lot of coordination and a lot of effort for potentially still not a great product.
Yeah.
It's awesome when it's built in, right? Like you two guys, Evil and Patrick, are great because like you're simming anyways. Sometimes if you're feeling up for it, you just flip on the mic and we can make that work. The hard thing is like there's a lot of investment in something that potentially still not a perfect product. When you guys do it, it's awesome. Don't take that the wrong way, but it's just
I get it.
maybe not worth all the squeeze. And it's better to have it than not to have it, but it's still not great. And so there's maybe the alternative of like, if we're not getting what we need from the sim, we need to supplement with other things. And Patrick, that's where like your Patrick's Picks thing is an awesome way for us to supplement. I've been kind of toying with the idea of like a game of the week preview and cutting the game of the week and then to the result and talking about like why it was impactful to the standings and what it means for the teams and like doing something like that in either short form content or building the live sim around it. Like if we just took one game and did an entirely separate sim, like you cut your sim off, we wait for 5 minutes and then we just do a live sim of that one game or something like that. Like, building other products that are more engaging might be better than just trying to like go all in and do broadcasting on every single sim.
No, I completely agree with you. I don't think that there's ever a time where we even should be doing weekly sims until the FHM product gets better, like weekly broadcast sims. I think that, I've cut down how many live sims I do in my sim just because I know that there isn't much of a want during the regular season for it. There's more of a want for commentary and side talk during those sim broadcasts than there is for the live sim. I
think that depends on the team.
It does.
Let's talk about
there
Madison.
are like 4 or 5 teams that really enjoy having their team live sims.
Yeah.
And there's like 4 or 5 teams that will try to riot and kill you in the streets if you live sim their team.
Yeah. There's certain people that you don't want to add to it.
Don't live sim for me during the regular season. I'll be the first to
and
tell
I'll be
you.
honest, as a GM, I hate live sims, especially
because the
during
game
playoffs.
plays differently, right? Like,
decidedly hate them because I'm sitting there worried about the whole sim for 5 minutes when it could be over in 2 seconds and I'll be done. I prefer that 100 times over 100 as a GM but as a player, I do like the live sim. Now, what I would love, what I would love to see happen, especially in the J and in the SHL, is I think that in the J more specifically, a lot of those new players in the J, it's really important that first 2 weeks of keeping them engaged so that they become longtime users in the league and want to stick around. And usually before that first set of games happen, a lot of those players have been on the sideline for at least 3 weeks from the draft to the start, whenever they're created. So that first set of games is always like a really big pumping up point for these J players, that those rookies are ready to see their guy in action and they want to see it. I would love to see the start of the season be kind of like a kickoff episode. You have all the teams live simmed in a live broadcast. I'd like to see it over on the SHL side, that we just have, and on the SHL side, it's easy just because of how the schedule is. Everybody, all the teams play those
1 day
days anyways, so it's easy to do it then. On the J, if they get that scheduled worked out, it would just be as easy. And you can have commentating on those games. You can build it up. You can bring people in to talk. You can have other things going on and just make it a special, like the kickoff season 87 kickoff special. And
finding that person might be hard, because that would be a time-intensive sim for sure.
Face off special.
Well, my thought is it is a time-intensive sim. It's a long sim, but what you could do is you could say, hey, Madison, Denver's simming right now. Right after Madison and Denver's going to be Texas, Edmonton. So that way you can put it out there, Texas, Edmonton on deck. So if nobody wants to watch the whole sim, they don't have to watch it. They
and more so mean for like the person who's simming that, finding the person who's doing it, because that's going to be a long. You're going to do both of them every season.
I mean, I want to be able to do the J.
I mean, Patrick, all that you're saying, like, I would just do the J, honestly. I don't think there's anything broken about the SHL. Like, I like the opening night face-off kind of thing, but to your point, if we're talking about engagement and we're talking about keeping people involved, like, it's way more impactful in the J, right? Like a 3-hour marathon stream for the SHL for people who've already been around it at least 4 seasons.
Yeah, I get that.
Like, spend your time where you get the most.
Pretending early call-ups don't exist, like it's
I was
impossible.
early call-up too. I was only 3 seasons.
But also, like,
3 or 4.
it's not about. It doesn't have to.
You mean
be
I get to watch my guy play his rookie game?
It doesn't have to be just about like retention and engagement. It's just about people like being able to see their player and have slightly more. Like, it's slightly more SHL stuff to have than we have now. And people interact with the hobby on different levels. But for the people who interact with it a lot, having that little bit more is very fun and exciting for them. And it's something to enjoy.
And I would say it would, like, for the J, I mean, you're looking at 8 games. And then for the SHL, you're looking at 12 games. So, I mean, we do an 8-game sim anyways for the playoffs. 8 live sims in the playoffs.
It'd be about a 3-hour stream. Or no, it'd be a 2 hour. It'd be a 2 hour stream.
It'd be a 2-hour stream. I mean, you could speed it up to fewer highlights if you wanted to, and get it done a little bit faster. I don't think. I mean, because we're also saying that, and then we have the drafts that go on for 3 to 4 hours. I mean,
I am familiar.
People tune into those. So
I am familiar. Yes.
So that's just, I'm just gonna put that one out there too.
To be fair, I do entirely blame the GMs who just want to take every single player, and I hate them to my dying day.
They're yeah. And then those drafts where you don't have a pick until like the 5th round, and you're having to sit around for 2 hours and do nothing.
Yeah.
But I mean, and there's other things that we could do to make it even better. That it just kind of builds up to the season. We've been off for over a month, and it gets everybody back engaged and ready to go. So.
And there's been some talk, right, about the rookie showcase, potentially bridging the gap from creation date to even folks getting drafted. I don't know exactly the timing but like, more stuff like that, Patrick, I think is
That's about a 2 week. Well, they technically come from the trade deadline and be waiting until then. So like it could be a long time before. Well, they'd play as a DFA, I guess. But I guess like if you came in and there was no room on a playoff team, and you came at playoff time, it'd be like 4 weeks until your senior player do anything.
Yeah, and you're going through all that, so I think it's a way to get everybody kind of back engaged. I do feel I don't have any of the numbers to prove it, but I do feel like the drop off in players is usually that week leading up to the draft all the way through opening night. You do see a lot of J players drop off. Now, if they're going to drop off anyways, they're going to drop off. It happens, but it's something that us JGMs can be pushing. Hey, we're a week out from opening night in the J. I'll keep you guys posted on when those sims are going up, and then on the. I mean, I think it would be worth it in the SHL too, but I know that
I'd like it this. That'd be fun.
Yeah, I was just like, if you're going to prioritize it, try the J.
Yeah.
The thing is that Patrick can't do the J, so that's why he's saying the SHL.
I can't do the J. Now, if I can get a special provision for one day,
no, banned.
Well, you could, Patrick. You could do the J. You just can't click the buttons on.
Yeah, I just can't click the buttons. That is true.
Like, to some degree.
I mean, there's people and stuff. I mean, like, if we did it on the SHL side, I imagine you'd pop in Nike to talk about what Chicago's looking at this season. I know Hiff would pop on to brag about whatever Madison's going to brag about this season.
Yeah.
The 15, trade the 15 picks that they're going to trade throughout the season.
I only have 3 firsts this season. Leave me alone.
So I think there's ways to make it a lot of fun.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, that's a great idea. We should. I think there's a lot of good ideas to supplement the sim. We started the conversation obviously about the state of the sim and live sims, quick sims, playoffs, the whole deal. I think what we've probably come to for it is like
nothing.
We can just do more beyond the sim that is better for the overall product for the league, and I think that's like a great takeaway. The sim is not necessarily broken. I'm sure that we'll come to, some ideas about ways that we can better standardize and like get to the point that simmers have equal result for the amount of effort and like the equity and the amount of effort that everybody's putting in, because it differs. Like game 7 of the finals is different than, the third week of the season on the Wednesday. And I do think that's probably the one thing we did talk about that we should have this
Wednesday get sim is always the best because that's when I sim.
Wow. The Tuesday sims are pretty good.
Yeah, they could be better.
Right, so I know we talked a little bit about pay, and I know that you guys don't need money, but there's definitely that underlying feeling, certainly, right, that like the reward and outcome for a 20-minute sim is no different than the reward and outcome for a 2-hour sim. Is that fair?
Well, you know my answer on that one. Yeah, no, that brings up the inherent incentive to do it faster. Time is money. I mean, if I can get a 15-minute stream in, make the same that as if I put in the effort to do a 2-hour stream with live sims, why should I? That's unfortunately how I look at it. And the pay for that 2-hour sim, I mean, I could do 2 podcasts and get 3 times as much.
And that was like last season when we were trying to figure out the next version of what the broadcast team looked like, right? I kind of had carte blanche of like, how should we pay broadcasters? Because I think Ace was paying basically on a per sim basis. So if you did a 2-hour sim, it was $1 million. If you did a 20-minute sim, it was $1 million. Regardless of how many words you fit into all that, right?
Yeah.
And so I was like, that doesn't work. Like, let's just use the podcast pay scale, because if Evil and Patrick are talking for an hour, it doesn't matter whether they're doing it live on Sim or whether they're doing it for for a podcast separately. I do think that like building some sort of variable pay bracket for simmers probably makes sense. However, that creates a ton of admin that you have to disperse amongst us. Like, you guys would have to track your time simming.
And it'd have to be verified, and then
Right.
Well, that's I mean, that's not that difficult. You literally have a record of every single sim on each of the channels, and just under the live videos, you can see how.
Yeah, but I'll just tell you, right? Like last season, at the end of the season, I said to you guys, like, can you send me the sims that you did broadcast on? Because I was like, I gotta go back and find the sim and watch it back and be like, how long were you guys on? Was it, because like, you can't just look at the 40 minutes of the video because you guys were also doing it. So it was like this weird game of like, they actually were doing broadcasts for like 30 minutes, even though it says 45 minutes on the video. So like it's almost like a clock in, clock out you kind of need. But to either degree, like, there's no way that all sims are created equal, and we probably just need to do better there. Is that fair?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a little bit different than Evil. I get where Evil's coming. I agree with Evil. I mean, I will say I agree with him. Me personally, I do it because me sitting there quietly pushing a button bores me to death. So I commentate for my own sanity and to make it better in my eyes. Money-wise, I don't really need the money. I mean, there's times where I do Jay Tonight episodes and I forget to post them because I just don't really care. If it's just me and Toaster going, I don't ever post it because I have
you don't need the money.
$200 million. What is another $2 million going to do?
Wow, brag about it.
But I think what I said today is I think that playoff sims need to be paid differently. I think when you get into the playoff sims, that people don't understand that 20-minute wait really does add a lot to what we're doing. I mean, I'm going to start at 8, and
we're going to let you go here in a minute because I
have not. I'm not too concerned about it. When I start at 8, I don't know if I'm going until 9, or if I'm going to go until 10, or if I'm going to go until 10:30 or 11, depending on how it works out, because I'm going to have those 20-minute breaks as I'm waiting. I appreciate that. That I'm gonna have to wait for lines to come in. So I think playoffs should be paid differently. I think that there should be kind of a different look at it on the playoff side, but on the regular one, is it aggravating when somebody does a 15-minute sim and I do a 45-minute sim and we get paid the same? Yes. Is it going to change what I'm doing? No, unless I just want to meme with them. I mean, at a certain point, I'm going to be like, okay, now I'm going to meme. Let's see how I can do this.
And that is something that definitely was happening, is people were trying to just see how quickly they can get through everything. And then that's where the wheels fell off and people started complaining. I mean, I guess I can safely say I had 3 people in my DMs after one of the quick sims asking, what the hell was that? And I'm like, I'm not empowered to say anything.
I think that there are people who want different things in the sim, and the lack of understanding of standardization or standardization might have come into play there, and mistakes can happen on all levels of simming and sim management. Like there's many layers of people, and people make mistakes or do things differently. But personally, that was something I found frustrating. Like we're just trying to not do it as quickly as possible to just get the results out. But at that point, like, we could just, those people who want it that quick can just wait for the index, unless the simmer really needs to haul ass and get out, right?
Right.
Yeah, and that, like, we need space for that too, right? Like,
yeah, like Flu has his lunchtime sims where he needs to be quick because he's doing it during lunch as well. He's working, and sure, like, absolutely, you have a very busy life with your kids, and like,
but if that's known ahead of time, that's cool. We obviously, like, whoever's in charge knows about that up front, and they're obviously we're still brought in regardless of that. It's when you have just other people doing the same thing, that's when I felt like it was getting a little out of hand.
Yeah, and it's probably fair, like, important to call out, right? I don't think that the folks that were memeing the speed sim were intending for it to be malicious.
No,
No, absolutely not.
no, not
Right?
at all.
Like it just
And there's
like
no fault in that. I don't think that there was ever anybody, even when Hiff said it, I don't think Hiff was mad at the simmer. It was more of a, okay, you guys, this is now becoming a little bit too much. And it's one of those things that, like, sometimes when somebody says, hey, this isn't right, it's not that they're being an asshole. It's just that they're trying to point something out.
But also sometimes they are being.
You are being an asshole.
Yeah,
No, it can be both.
We know that.
It can be
We know that. I wasn't defending you.
yeah. But that like it's okay, right? Like the world is not going to end. We're all going to be fine. And in the moment,
Sure,
it was a funny
you could
joke.
say that for anything, right? Like,
no, but I just like in the moment it was a funny joke, but it also was important to be like, hey, this should not be the expectation of what we're going for here. And so
Yes.
we just had to check ourselves and like that's fine.
Yeah.
So all right, it's almost sim time anyways, Patrick. We've already cut beyond your, but like thank you guys for making time. I think this is an important conversation for the league to be having. I think that we came up with some really great ideas that I'm excited for us to maybe try. But any other parting thoughts before we let Patrick go sim for 4 hours?
I'm sorry for anybody that thought they were tuning in for Angry Patrick.
Yeah.
I actually was expecting that. You had me all hyped up.
I was expecting much more anger, and this turned out to be a very civilized conversation.
I mean, I could go off if you want.
I save it for the non-league sanctioned podcast.
Oh, that's true. Fourth line one.
Yeah, fourth line. We'll move it over to the fourth line.
No, I mean, I love the sim team. I love everybody that is, simming and actively helping. And I do feel like there needs to be an acknowledgement of that work that they are putting in, especially the J. And unfortunately, the newer people are usually the ones doing J.
Yes.
And they have, I mean, it's at least 4 times the work of the SHL simmers. And I think that they need to be rewarded for the amount of time and effort they're putting in.
I think support for those new simmers is so important. And if that's the one thing I can ask for is that they get more support.
During the sims.
Yes.
Yes.
100%.
Hiff, last chance.
Yeah, I just want to congratulate Denver for beating the actual shit out of us. That was a fun series for you guys. Probably not so much for us. But yeah, you guys are going to do great things. So good luck, Denver.
I thought we might make it through a whole SHL Tonight episode without actually talking about any result.
Nope, had to do it.
By the way,
also, Nike does cocaine. Nike does cocaine. Nike does cocaine. Nike does cocaine.
Oh crap! No, over it.
No, I don't. For clarity, I don't. Goodbye, y'all.
She is.